Hey, I'm Matt. I am a full-time dad and leader of a house church here in San Antonio, Texas. And the purpose of this channel is really just to educate people on house churches, what they are, answer some questions that they have, and really bring a viable option to people who are looking for a different type of church in their hometown, in their city, or even starting one from scratch. And that's what this channel is really all about. And today's video, we're talking about the 5 advantages of house churches. Check it out. All right, almost ready for church. Got my guitar, got my baby. Say hi, got little Sally. We need to get stuff ready because we're going to church at the other house. Got the baby. All right, ready to go to church?
Yeah.
We're here.
Hey, how's it
The
going?
house church. What's up, bro?
How's it going?
Hugs.
Come on in, come on in.
All right. All right, so I'm gonna explain 5 reasons why me in particular, why me and my family, we do house church, and we meet in house church as opposed to traditional churches, 90% of churches. Reason number 1 we meet in a house church is for simplicity. Think about it. If our lives get chaotic in our smartphones, in our computers, in our homes, we simplify it, right? We delete apps off of our phones. We clean up our desktop and folders on our computer. When we see chaos in our home, we clean up, and honestly, it changes us to where we buy less things and be less cluttered in our home. That's how it works. We simplify our lives when things get, a little bit too much. And really, that's a big reason for house church is we simplify. We say we take out the things that we feel like aren't actually needed to meet in a gathering, and we simplify it. Number 2 reason why we meet in a house church is authenticity. In 99% of churches, many people can and maybe will sit in the back, go into church, sit in the back, watch the service, and then leave without even talking to anybody, without connecting with people. And that's possible in most churches. And in house churches, it's different because we meet in homes where we have living rooms and dining rooms, and more people are prone to talk and be more authentic. Think about it. When was the last time you went to a friend's house and just sat in a corner and didn't talk to your friend the whole time for like an hour? You didn't do that because that's inauthentic. That's not how we operate as human beings. It would be weird if you did that, and your friend would probably call you weird. What are you doing sitting in the corner not talking to anybody? But yet we treat this in church as a norm, as a thing that's normal. And I don't think that should be. A church should be a place where friends talk and communicate and talk about the things of the Lord. And in a house church, an open home and a table of food brings out that authenticity, where other churches it's just harder to have that reality. Okay, had to come inside because it is very hot here in Texas. But number 3 reason why we meet in a house church is for spiritual gifting. I believe in the gifts of the Spirit, and I think that every church member, every Christian has a spiritual gift, and that we should exercise that spiritual gift. In most churches, let's say there's like 100 people in a church. Out of those 100 people, 97 people are watching the other 3 people who are actually exercising their spiritual gift of teaching, of singing, of preaching, things like that. And most everyone is just really bystanders, just sitting and receiving those spiritual gifts and not really giving or practicing their spiritual gifts. That's just the case in most churches. In a house church, at least in our house church, what we strive to do is that everyone uses their spiritual gift. Maybe it's the gift of encouragement or teaching or edification, or music or whatever, prophecy even, we can exercise that and practice those gifts and make it a cultural norm in our gathering, and mainly because it's a small gathering, it's very conversational, not really one person preaching to everybody. It's very discussional in that type of format. So it breeds that culture of everyone exercising their spiritual gift. The fourth reason why our family meets in a church that's in a home is because of finances. If you think about it, most churches spend actually a lot of their finances on overhead, meaning paid staff, mortgages, administration, things like that. Whereas in a house church, at least in our house church, we have leaders who have no desire to be paid. We're all volunteers. And because we meet in a home, there's no mortgage, okay? So the church organization doesn't have to pay into that. And we meet in potluck style meals and things like that. So basically, at least in our house church, 100% of the donations that come through our church are dispersed out through the community, maybe through missions or benevolence. Maybe there's a need in our church community that we need to solve, and those finances will help that. 100% goes to that. At least that's how our house church runs. Whereas, let's just face it, 99% of other churches can't say that. And so that was one of the big reasons why we wanted to shift to that, is just really to steward our finances well. And it goes back to point number one of simplicity, taking out things that we don't necessarily need, that are not commanded in the Bible, like paid staff or a building that we have to pay a mortgage on, things like that. The fifth reason why we meet in a house church is family love. Because we sit in couches and dining room tables, that culture feeds a culture of family love. I mean, think about it. If most churches have a theater type way of sitting together, where the seating is all faced front in front of the stage and the pastor or the screen, that doesn't really communicate a culture of family love. You have just as much in common at church with someone that you just met at the movie theater, or sat next to at the movie theater. That's not really breeding a culture of love. Now, there can be churches that really operate in that way and can help that culture of family love, but it's very, very difficult, in my opinion, being about 7 years of full-time ministry. It's very difficult to do that. In a house church, we get to look at each other in the eyes. We get to confess sin. We get to receive communion. All these things that maybe it's very more difficult to do in a regular traditional church setting. And if you think about it, what do you call 2 adults and let's say 3 children? Okay, you call that a family. Now, what do you call 2 adults and 100 children? Well, you call that an orphanage, right? And so many times there's larger churches who really try to cultivate a culture of family love, but it's very, very, very difficult to do that when you operate like an orphanage rather than a family. And I think we really need to hone in on that, is that the family culture is really only breeded in smaller environments and in settings that are conducive to breed that family love. Okay, so please hear me out. I know I gave a lot of advantages to house churches, and in no way am I bashing regular traditional churches that operate in different ways. I'm not bashing those traditional churches. Traditional churches have impacted the kingdom of God in many different ways. And actually, next week's video, I'm going to talk about the disadvantages of house churches and why traditional churches have huge advantages that house churches just don't. So that's next week's video. And so in no way am I bashing the traditional church. I'm just drawing a comparison for people to understand that house churches are a viable option if someone is looking for a different type of church, is wanting a different type of environment and atmosphere, and really a different culture in their church environment. And I hope this channel really helps people understand that, and maybe I could answer some questions along the lines of that. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments if you think that there are more advantages to house churches. I know that actually I have a lot more advantages and a lot more pros in that, but I just listed 5 here in this video. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. In next week's video, I'm going to talk about the 5 disadvantages of house churches. Love to see you then. Bye.